Thank you. Thank you, YCM. Thank you, Firdaus, for inviting. And it's a real honor to be sitting with the distinguished speakers. I also noticed that we've got like 7 minutes to 5 o'clock. So I'll keep this very, very short, because the points that I wanted to share has been raised by our two distinguished speakers. So rather than focusing on the content, I wanted to just turn this discussion to maybe focus on you. And I'm assuming that most of you are young Malaysian corporate, perhaps new to the working world and try to make a life going forward. And perhaps I just want to just touch on 2 points. Number one is there is what we call givens. Givens, when we help clients with their strategy, when we say givens, means things that you cannot change, things that you have to accept. And a good strategist is one who recognizes what are givens and we make the best out of it. And some of the givens I'll touch here. We are stuck in the middle, as mentioned by our speakers. But one of the middle that I really like, and I think it's our strength, is where we are in terms of location. And we talk about both China and India, and also now Indonesia. And Puan Mahani also talked about Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Singapore. I think, for me, I look at it as a strength because of where we are positioned. And the important thing is, this is a given. We can't move Malaysia to New Zealand. How I wish we can make it a bit more colder, or move ourselves to closer to Japan or Korea or whatever. It's a given. So the question is, how do we make the best out of it? So that's given number one. Besides given, there are also things that we need to change, and we need to recognize where we need to change. And one thing that was pointed out by Datuk Mahani is about where we are in the economy. We are really stuck in the middle. But like I said, I want to turn this discussion and debate to you rather than focusing on the government, because the government is done. I think I've got a list here about the GTP, ETP, new economic model. But the question is, what am you and I can do? And to me, besides the given, which is number one, the number two is what we can change. And I tell you, young Malaysians, the one thing that we can change is our mindset. Because there's a lot of, when I work with clients and I work with young Malaysians, a tendency is, there are two groups. One group, they say, how come the government is not doing this? How come it's, this and that, this and that? The other one is, I'm glad, is Firdaus still in here? Firdaus? Because I want to talk about Firdaus, because this event is, a brainchild of his and his team. And here you are creating income, creating employment because of the entrepreneur spirit that he has capitalized on. And what I'm hoping is for Malaysians, as pointed out by our earlier speakers, is to change that. And one thing that you can change is your mindset. That mindset that Malaysia boleh, we can do it. And that's another given I'm going to touch on to build on. One strong advantage, and I say this because Ernst & Young has integrated as a region 2 years ago, 2008, and I've been running ASEAN Advisory Performance Improvement Practice. So this ASEAN thing is a daily thing for me. And every day I look at data, and every other month I'll fly around the region to try and help our countries around the region. One important thing that I notice about Malaysian is this: we are so adaptable. We can speak English, we are tolerant. Tolerant is a big thing, Sometimes it's an advantage, sometimes it's a disadvantage. A disadvantage is sometimes tidak apa lah, everything is tidak apa. But tolerance also brings us to sensitivity and understanding. And I tell you, we can compete in this area anytime with the Singaporeans, because we are so much more understanding when it comes to conflict between cultures. Yes, I do recognize Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, but it is not easy if we want to go and work in Vietnam or Thailand, and also for foreigners to work there, because the language is an issue. So question is, who can go there and work there or can help those countries or help customers that develop is people who can understand the culture and work with that culture. And I think Malaysians are really in a very good position. So coming back, there are givens, and givens are where we're located. It's hard to change. Our legacy, the legacy of the mixed race that Dato' Tengku Zafrul mentioned just now about the mixed background that we have, you know, where we grow up, our schools, our university. I remember in University Malaya, my first week, my roommate was a Kelantanese. At 5 o'clock in the morning, one morning, I got a shock because he was kneeling in front of me. And for those of us who are Chinese, you know, you don't do that unless someone has died. So you only kneel at someone who is dead. But I learned through that he was praying in the direction of Mecca. Those sensitivities is a given. And it's a given that we can make use of it to build the country up. No matter, to me, when I work with clients about competition, about strategy, don't worry about competition to the level that you cannot act. So what I'm saying is we do need to recognize their competition and what they're doing, but do not forget to act. And as Malaysians, as young Malaysians, and I'm dependent on you actually, because I'm a father of 2 kids, and I'm dependent on you to do the right thing for the country. And to do the right thing for the country is to recognize the given, and some of the givens are tremendous strength. But what we need to change is our mindset and take action. And Firdaus and his team is a great example of taking action, of taking the bold step and do something about it. Okay, so I just want to end that. There is a role for you to play, despite all the competition that we talk about, despite where we are. And one of the change that I'm seeing also in the country is this work done by the government around the GTP and ETP. I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the people there. I can say this, most of the people that have worked there have sincerity in their heart to do something for the country. But sometimes there are things that is beyond them, whether it's political will or it's resistance. But you know what? Young Malaysians, the resistance comes from us, from you and me. And if we begin to act responsibly when we go and vote and make sure our voices are heard, that we do want change and we want to change in the right manner, right way, the political will be there because they are afraid of you. Right? So let me just end it here as my topic of where Malaysia is in ASEAN. We are stuck in the middle, but it's a nice place to be if you recognize the givens as strengths and where we can accept. There's a saying that says, God grant me serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, but courage to change those things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you.